incentivize killers to go for chases, work on the tiles, work on the map size, all that kind of stuff, because I think it would push the game in a really healthy way. And then once again, when you're looking at tournaments, then you'd see multiple killers being viable, right? And then you'd have multiple chasers. You'd have the game would turn less about how quickly can this person die or how quickly can these gens be done, how much of an advantage can I take over this dead zone, into mind gaming loops, into conditioning at loops, into the kind of the chase, what you kind of expect, I feel, when you go into Dead by Daylight. Probably I think it'd just be a much more entertaining place.
A problem is that we're kind of wishing for two things at once that I think are hard to reconcile. On the one hand, we want the killer to have more time to just spend chasing survivors and less, thinking about micromanaging gens and getting someone out of the game, etc.
Well, you're microing gens in the sense that you're pushing people off them, and you could still do hit and run things like that, but you're still gonna have to commit to a chase eventually, aren't you?
Yep, sure. But the problem is we want the kill to have more time to engage in different chases and not have to settle for one chase, one camp, end of the game, that's it. Very non-engaging, non-interactive gameplay. But then on the same breath, where you are complaining that already the game is impossible, like if the survivors play it right, then the killer doesn't have time to get everywhere. How do we do this?
Well, it's difficult, but as a community, I bet we could. Like, if the devs allowed us to have a lot of input and stuff, I think we could make this game into something amazing. I really do. I think it's got the foundation of a really, really entertaining to watch and play game. It already is, even with people like face camping and slugging, all this kind of stuff. I think it has potential to be really, just really, really fun. Like,
do you think it should be more of a post-game reward?
I mean,
that incentivizes this, or more like gameplay-wise
one thing,
changes? One
thing before I forget. I wonder why the devs stopped the early game collapse. Maybe that could have actually helped. I don't know what it was, but the whole idea were survivors won't be able to do gens for X amount of time at the start of the game. I guess maybe they just left corrupt intervention. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, go on. What were you saying? I would just remember the early game collapse.
Because I have a feeling that if it's a post-game reward, like, people are still gonna do whatever the hell they want. You know full well that there's people out there that will just face camp you for 5 gens because they can, and they know they're gonna get an entity displeased. But they're gonna
you can't stop that. There's no chance you can stop. That's just people's minds. You won't be able to stop that. There'll always be people like that in games. That's something how would you stop it? I have no ideas for that, because that's just people's minds. Like, they don't care that the game's saying don't do this. They just want to make someone's experience unpleasant.
I think the conclusion is that I don't see a emblem system that should work. Like, it would be great if they would work it, but I don't see that changing the way people play. I think it would need to be gameplay related, and maybe not necessarily a perk like borrow time or the size of. I think maybe we should be looking at pushing natural, like common mechanics like end game collabs or the suggested early game start or whatever, rather than make it perks, and that maybe would help the game more.
100%.
Is that where your efforts would go?
Yeah, I think a lot of perks are plaster fixes, aren't they? I'm not the only ones who said this. There's a lot of people who say that, where the devs add perks as plaster fixes to the gameplay, like corrupt intervention.
I understand their frustration.
Early game collapse, isn't it?
Yeah, because they said in a dev stream once, and I honestly feel for them. They're right. It's like, if they make perks that are good, then people complain that they're making crutch perks. And if they make perks for side objectives that are not necessarily like perks that condition the entire game, then they're making useless perks. So I understand the struggle.
You know what I found kind of funny regarding Ruin and Dying.
Yeah.
So we always have a discussion: how do we get the killer incentivized away from the hook? How do we give more objectives to the survivors instead of gens? And I just found it funny how Ruin and Dying kind of solve both the issues, where the killer needs to walk away from the hook to actually get benefit from Ruin, but it also gives the side objective of them needing to get the totem to get rid of it.
I don't know if I agree on you on that. Don't you think the current Ruin and Dying does that in a more elegant and fair way?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, Ruin Undying is literally what people were asking for. And what I found really funny is in my chat, after Undying got nerfed, someone said, so-and-so has thought of an idea to give survivors another objective. And I just thought, that's literally what Ruin Undying were. And they said no to it. So I don't know if they're going to allow...
But I think that was a terrible objective, though. That was terrible. I think it was terrible. Because it's like... when you're playing a survivor, even like I'm not even going to assume that you're playing solo, which you could. But let's assume that you're even playing with a survivor friend, so you know more or less what's going on.
You could just bring a map.
Let's say that you don't need it. Let's say you just find the totem. So I'm gonna make this as simple as possible.
Okay.
You still would need to go to a totem, would need to do that totem, and then probably before you do that, find the other totem, and then cleanse one, and then cleanse the other. And if you were 50-50 unlucky, then you would have another one out there. And that's like best case scenario.
Yeah.
And during this whole time, the killer could see you cleansing it. So if it's a fast killer or a killer that can push you off, like say Doctor with the blast or whatever,
so it could get
they could stop you at any point during that process. I
yeah, but it had delay, like it had a cooldown though. Like if you were on it and then they pushed you off, someone else went on it, they wouldn't see you. They wouldn't see someone else go on it.
Well,
I thought Ruin and Dying was actually good. Personally,
I think Ruin and Dying in the way it was disgusting. I think
Really?
all Ruin and Dying was the only time where I saw in scrimmages and tournaments killers consistently win, like consistently. Not even like 50-50, not even like the survivors usually getting a few escapes.
So they got rewarded for doing well in the chase?
It's not that they got rewarded for doing well in the chase. It's that the survivors got punished for doing totems. And they didn't get rewarded at all. Like
Taking away his
imagine,
perk?
here's the thing. Imagine you're a killer and you hook a survivor, all right? But that one survivor had this one perk that makes it so the first hook doesn't count. How would you feel? It's like, okay, well, I hooked him 3 times, but he's still alive because he had that one perk. And I couldn't know he had that one perk because, well...
That's definitely... I would say that's a massive extreme, though. Because this is just a regression on gems.
Very similar, though. Like, in competitive, I'm not joking when I tell you that the strategy was just to ignore totems. And if there was Devour Hope, well, use Deliverance. And if there was Ruin, well, power through it. They like you're saying, oh, it incentivizes survivors to go do the totems. Doing the totems is impossible. Like if you need to do 2 totems with best luck, and the killer can see you at any given time doing those totems, that's gonna be hard. But it's possible that it might be 3 totems. And if you're a bit unlucky, it could be 4, it could be all 5, and you would still have Ruin up.
But we say that we say that gen speeds are so quick, and now you're saying an objective which takes them away from that is bad. This is what I'm not getting.
No, it's that they do not have. Okay, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If let's say that you're playing in a survivor team, all right, and you're playing a finals tournament, many things at stake, all right, and you're calling the shots for everybody.
Yeah.
It's the usual stuff. You're splitting up on chase. You're being run by the killer or something, and someone asks you, okay, True, what do we do? Do we do totems or do we do gens? What do you tell them?
Are we allowed to bring maps or anything? Like what
yeah, let's say that you can find the totems. You know, you got detectives or whatever.
What's the killer?
You can find them. What do you think?
What's the killer?
What do you think we do?
What killer is it?
Let's say you play against twins, for example, which in competitive has been or a good blight or a good hunters, something like that. A nurse, for example, if you want to.
I don't know if there's. I actually don't know if there's one solution. Like I think some people would, like you're saying everyone does, and maybe they do.
I just have a bit of insight because I saw this happen in like practice for tournaments and stuff, and I think consistently the best idea was just to ignore it. It's too much risk. If you do a totem, you could have hunt the ground, you could have retribution, giving the killer a lot of information. It was never going to be getting rid of Ruin first.
I guess you could prioritize gens, and then on your route into gens, if you see a totem, you could go for it.
And then like that just never worked because the killer would hook a survivor and then be like, okay, well that guy's doing a totem because I see him because I've got like 3 bar.
what's kind of like, what are you getting with this? Are you saying that it was bad because
it was a
they
bad
couldn't-
idea to bother doing totems because the totems were so unpredictable. And if you were unlucky, you could do 3 totems and still not have ruin out of the way. And at that point, you've done an extra generator for absolutely no reason, with absolutely zero guarantees that you're gonna get rid of that.
Are you saying it was OP? Like, I'm trying to understand what you're saying. Like, were you saying?
I'm saying that it was very strong.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that it was OP as well.
So for 2 perks.
Yes, I would say so.
Okay.
For two perks, true, you have a built-in Amal Ears for anybody walking through any of the 5 totems. You have a guaranteed ruin that will last you at least 2 totems. Each totem takes 14 seconds to complete, and anytime they're on a totem, you will see their aura, and you can interrupt it. So that means that if you're going against a survivor team, and this in competitive, and good survivors do it too, at the start of the games, they often hide to outweight corrupt. So if you're going against a team and one of them just happens to spawn by a totem or walk by a totem, they'll be revealed. So it completely kills stealth. It gives you an advantage in chase, so it works a bit like Amal Ears. It makes it basically impossible for them to start cleansing totems unless they've already found the 2 that are lit. There's also the possibility that there could be 3 totems, so you could have a Retribution, the Bar of Hope, Undying, not the Bar of Hope, Ruin, on a Nurse, on a small map. So any totem you do is going to trigger Retribution, and you're going to have at least 2 Retribution.
Is this with your mentality of the killer going for hooks or trying to kill people quickly?
This is a mentality of the killer doing whatever they want to absolutely stomp you.
So trying to kill people quickly and slugging and all that kind of stuff.
It doesn't matter, dude. If you're going for quick kills, then this will help you, and if you're going for many hooks, this will help you as well.
Yeah.
Like in fact, you have a lot of time to go for many hooks if you want to, but like there's nothing stopping you from not doing that.
Well, I feel that once again this incentivizes the hook play. Like I'm thinking about possibly doing a tournament or whatever, and if that does happen, I want to have Ruin, right? And this would actually give me good data instead of just like what ifs and kind of speculating. I want to have Ruin where every killer needs to just have one of the perks as Ruin, and then they pick the other 3, obviously not hexes, and the survivors can't cleanse it. And I want to see if it is really just dominant, the killer just completely dominates, there's no chance against it. Because I'd like to see it. I'd like to see kind of how it is. And then it'll all be based on hooks. Like hooks is the point system, kills, gives you some points, but nowhere near as much as hooks, etc., etc. It'll give me more of an idea. Because at the moment, it's kind of just, I think, quite speculative. I don't know. I don't think Ruin is as powerful as you're saying.
Oh no, it's not anymore. Like
no. If you can't cleanse it,
no.
If you can't cleanse it, like if you can't cleanse Ruin, you have it up all game. I don't think it's as powerful as you're saying.
I do think it was very powerful, like borderline OP. But like my biggest issue with it is not necessarily that it's like super strong, because survivors also have strong things, right? Like we know that they have strong items, they have strong perks. The problem is that the counterplay to it is to just ignore it and not do anything about it. It's like a survivor comes out of a hook, goes into a locker with decisive. Like the best counterplay is like, okay, well, I can't do anything.
Depends. And like sometimes you take it this early.
Right, but like you understand, right?
Yeah.
Like let's say like it's like okay, like the best counterplay of this perk is, you know, getting absolutely destroyed by it and powering through it. There's nothing I can do around it. And it's a hex perk. It's supposed to be able
but as
around it.
But as I said, you're saying that Rune Undying is was really OP and all that kind of stuff. But I'm saying in this tournament, it'll actually be even stronger than Rune Undying, because it'll just be ruin what you can't cleanse. So I just want to see like how strong it actually is. That like it could be insane, but I generally don't think it will be. I've done many games where Ruin's been up all game, and if that killer is not doing good chases, them gens are gonna be done. Like Ruin only gets strong when the killer's good in chase, which should be the case. The killer should be rewarded for being good in chase.
I do have a feeling that you really think that like the killer pushing people off gens with Ruin is like what makes you able to get many chases in a game. And I'm not sure I agree with that. I think what Ruin enables you to do more so than go on many chases.
Wait. It does a few things. People that you push off chase, right? It'll hit that, but it'll also hit people who are pushing to get the save, and then it'll also hit people who are on gens who you're pushing after the person's on the hook. So it's everywhere. If you have good momentum with killer, you are getting regression everywhere. It's not just one place. But that's if you do good. If you do bad as killer, you get very little, and if you face camp as killer, you get nothing. That's why I like it.
Okay, I have an idea. I really would like to see this happen. Like, really would like it, because I think it would be very interesting. And if you want to, we can make our guesses as to what's the gameplay that's going to be more successful. Because I have a feeling that if you as a killer have a ruin that can never be cleansed, you're going to take advantage of that. Like, if I have a survivor that's going to be in stage 2, and I have a gen nearby, and I know that I can just, you know, push survivors a little bit, camp a little bit, and get a bunch of regression.
Well, I won't do that because I found that boring. Like, the whole reason I use Ruin is because I like to explore the map. I like to go around the whole map and try different loops and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, true, but you can't say, well, you know, my playstyle is this, so for me it's not OP. So
no. You were
like
saying
this,
what you were saying what I do. I was saying what I do.
No. You as in your tournament. Like,
you're predicting what will happen in the tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
okay,
I'm not talking about you as an individual.
Got you.
That's completely what I'm trying to say is, like, you can't, we can't be like, okay, well, I like to go for many hooks. So
but remember, hooks will be more points than kills in the tournament.
And you also reward people for, if I read that correctly, for unhooking.
Yeah.
You say that will also have a blind spot in your rules. Wouldn't that also benefit me if I just, like, make sure that no one gets that rescue?
No, because you're doing a 5v5. So if you go against a killer who tries to just, like, one hook everyone, he's gonna have really low points. And then what's the other killer going to do? Is he just gonna one hook everyone and just draw? What's the point? Nothing's gonna change. And then if you do allow people to get off the hook, then they get unhook points, etc. Like, I'm still working out the variables of it because it's quite difficult to incentivize people to play in a fun way. but I'm thinking, I'm trying to think of a way to incentivize them to play in a fun way so it's entertaining to watch.
Like, I actually would love to acknowledge if I'm wrong, but I have a feeling that people are going to disregard, are going to play around the rules as you know, scummy and as tight as they can.
They'll try to. That's why I'm trying to, like, make it watertight.
And, you know, if it's like, okay, well, if I let this person be unhooked, they can get 2 rescue points from getting hurt twice. But if I just camp them, I make sure they die, and they don't get 2 rescues out of that person. And when she dies, then I can many hook the other 3 survivors. And then I'll get my points. I think it will turn out to play exactly the same as other tournaments.
Maybe. Hopefully not.
But yeah, maybe that's the fate of this game until we see changes in the rules.
Possibly. As I said, I think we have been conditioned quite heavily as well. Like, seeing that entity displeased, right? When you've played really good as killer and really nice, that conditions people as well. That gets into your head. That gets into your subconscious. That's not good.
Yeah, it feels. I understand what you mean, and yeah. I would agree. So what are the, let's say, 3 points that we unanimously agree on? What would you say from our talk?
What we agree on?
That we agree on 100%.
Well, it sounds like you're pretty much agreeing with what I'm saying, but you're still saying kills over hooks to an extent, right? Like, you think obviously, so you think going for hooks is good, right?
Encompasses more gameplay choices and is an adequate way to how do I put it? To measure your success, and it's fine as it is. Obviously, if it's kills and then it counts something else, that's wonderful. And I would not dismiss someone's playstyle because they go for kills. I think that's fair. I think that's part of the rules, and you can play around them. While still agreeing that, yeah, if you can manage to go for many hooks, that's wonderful. And other things that we seem to agree on.
Well, I agree that everyone can play how they want, but I would like it to be incentivized that people play in a more fun way for everyone. That's kind of my position. So, like, I get that people want to face camp and, you know, people want to do all that, and I get that might be fun for them, etc. But I would like the gameplay to incentivize a more fun thing where both teams are having fun, so the killer and survivor.
And I think maybe the big thing we disagree on that I don't really agree on is that, at higher levels, like, or at higher levels, it's just completely survivor dominated. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
Really? From looking at the variables of everything?
Like, we can't look at the variables of the 100 people that play competitive in this. We should probably look at the variables okay, of the people that play, you don't want to.
I'm just talking about the time of everything, like 80 seconds per gen, 4 people. When you hit someone, you lose about 27 seconds or something on them holding forward.
I could go the other way, and I could be like, okay, it's 20 seconds to heal with Thanatophobia, and if I have Spirit with this add-ons, I can get 2 hits in, you know, in 20 seconds. And if I down this person, and I have this person on the hook, that's going to take 2 survivors to come here, and
that moves on to another thing, actually. That moves on to another. You've just reminded me that moves on to another thing. Another reason gens might be going quite quick is people can do them when they're injured. Like, what happens if you did a gen when you're injured? Like, kind of like Fana, but like just normally in the game.
Right.
Yeah, you've gone like
people,
robotic.
People
there you go.
Dismissing like health states basically just to push gens because they know they're safe. They know they're not gonna get immediately.
Especially with DS, yeah. I mean, they're sorting out the DS thing, which is good, but like that could be why gens go quite quick. Like as you said, it does take 20 seconds, etc., to heal, but they're not healing, so it don't matter. You see?
There's actually tournaments where the rules specify that until 2 gens are done, I played in one like that, survivors could not repair while they were injured. And you want to know what happened?
The gens are really quick.
No, obviously, obviously it slows down the gens at the start. Like near the end, it's, you know, normal pace. But at the start, the gens are pretty slow because, you know, if you're playing a killer that can damage a few survivors, they need to do their self-carrying or they need to do their.
Well, that's a bit of an incentive. As I said, like that might not be a bad idea. There were another. I've had lots of ideas with this game because I see potential in it, man, and I want it to do really well. I think it could be way bigger than it is. But there is, you know, slowly growing, which is awesome. Yeah. There were another idea where when you hook a survivor for the first time, they get an action debuff. So that once again incentivizes going for more than just tunneling one person. Just another little idea I've had. But you know, when you hook someone, like you would, wouldn't you? If you were hooked on this massive hook, you probably wouldn't be able to just be at full capacity, would you? So so if you hook someone, there's like some kind of action debuff. That's just like another idea I've had.
All right, like those ideas I think are good, and as you said, they could dish out a PTB with these things and test them out. And if they don't work, they don't work, and that's fine. How about some other core mechanics of the game, like survivors being slower when they're together on gens? Do you think there's anything right now in the game, like something that you could just turn off or maybe move up or down that would just help a lot? Like healing being quicker, healing being slower. Like what would you encourage or what would you change?
Oof. Not sure, to be honest. What's in your mind? I'd see if I can come with something from what you're thinking.
I don't like the way the endgame handles with the whole 99ing of exegates. I feel like endgames could be exciting, but how many games do you know all gens pop and you still have fun for a long time? Like it's either they're all gone or they never get there in the first place. So I like the endgames to be a bit more fun. I also like one thing that I really don't like is how we're conditioned by perks as to what we can do and what we cannot. Like if you don't have a BT and if you don't have a DS, it's like, okay, well, no point in going for the rescue. There's very few baseline things to protect survivors and to encourage them to be altruistic, I feel.
Well, I'm all about the kindred, man. But yeah, if a killer is near a hook, I'm not going for a save. But that's why kindred's nice. You can see if the killer's going. But regarding the endgame collapse, and this is why I said for you to say something, because then I can bounce ideas. The regression on the exit gate, I don't know why that isn't a thing already, honestly. I don't know why they can 99. It's really weird. So
how do you feel about normal kicking regression?
Well, I said that before. I think it should be faster. I think that is 100% something they should test in a PTB. Put normal regression to, as I said, 200% of... well, I guess, what could I say? Half of the survivors. 200% of normal regression. But then it makes sense if it's obviously regression, so...
Right, so a full gen would take like 160 to go down.
Yeah, it'd be like Ruin. It'd be like Ruin. But this time you have to kick it. So it makes sense. You know, it just links with it.
Okay, so, like... Putting all this together, all these ideas, what do you think is keeping the devs from doing this? Because we can tomorrow, you know, write a little petition or bother the devs with a bunch of emails or start threads on forums
You'd have to talk, honestly, we'd have to talk to the devs, because I don't know where their minds are with what they're balancing for. Are they balancing for newcomers? Are they balancing for, you know, intermediate? Are they balancing for the, like, the hardcore? Like, I don't know where their head's at, you know?
If you want my take on it, I think that they do look at statistics, and they realize that whatever it is that's going on results in a somewhat even 50-50 kind of.
But one thing I could say, like, regarding statistics and especially the kills, once again, they've looked at Freddy, and Freddy's got the highest kill rate, right? So they're thinking of nerfing or whatever, right? That's a possibility. But on the same thing, Nurse is there with the lowest kills.
Right.
So are they just pick and choosing what statistics? Because if they're not, then Nurse needs a buff, right?
Okay, if I'm allowed to comment on that,
yeah.
I think the reason why they want to nerf him, I imagine, is because he has a high kill rate, and because there is other elements to his gameplay that are probably not very fun or engaging, like the no BT because you're oblivious, the slowdown by add-ons, even though that's not as bad as it used to be, how simple it is, you know, to use perks on him. I mean, I'm guessing that's why.
He's very simple. But he ain't even the best anti-looper. I think Doctor's a better anti-looper than Freddy.
Yeah, and Doctor actually does pretty well according to the stats.
He stops the pallets from dropping. Freddy can't even stop them.
But
and he can trap them inside of pallets too.
I
think what I
know what we can do to get through.
What's that?
I don't know what we can do to get through. Do we need to prove that these, like, they might look at this initiative and be like, okay, here's a bunch of changes, and they're just gonna make the average kill rate for killer plummet, or they're gonna make it spike, and we don't want to deal with that. The game's doing pretty well as it is. They may be looking at the average player, and what should they care about what someone with 5,000, you know, a very minor percentage of the community. How do we convince them?
Well, first, as I said, we need to know what their angle is. Like, do they want to balance for when people are playing well, or do they want to balance for people who don't even look behind them, you know, for example? Like, do they, and don't know any tiles? Like, I don't know what their angle is. As I said, like, I need to know their angle before I can know how to approach it, I think. Because I generally don't know what their angle is. Like, I don't know what they're aiming for. Well, but I do think the game becomes in a more terrible state the better you get, which shouldn't be the case. That's not how games should go.
I generally don't even know if we're gonna get to a point where you can balance simultaneously for, like, extreme cases, but also keep it fun and friendly and accessible for everybody. I don't know how possible that is, and whether the devs want to make a compromise on that.
I think what you do is, as you said, you do PTBs and you just small, like, you want to do like baby steps. You want to do small changes, and you want to see what the ripple effect of the small changes are. I say this when they nerf killers as well. When they nerf a killer or buff a killer, sometimes they go like all out and they do loads of things instead of baby steps. Yeah. When one thing could have just rippled. Like, let's say Freddy, for example, taking away just his teleport to gens could have a massive ripple effect on how strong he is. Yeah. But what they might do is they might be like, right, we'll take away that, we'll make him have massive cooldown on snares, and then, yeah, of course he's going to be nerfed, but maybe you didn't need that much. And it's the same thing with these little changes. Like, let's say we did a PTB for the regression of gen, right? We regress to gens half as quick as a survivor. We do that on a PTB, see how it is. Maybe it goes to live. You know, they could change it anyway. And then they say the ripple. How much of a ripple effect does that do? Does that do anything to lower level? Does that do anything to intermediate? Does something happen in the high? That's how I would probably do it. Because I don't think there's like, right, we do this, and then at the highest level, it's all fine now. I don't think it works that way. I think what you have to do is you need to put things in place, you need to observe them, and then you need to see how they interact with different levels of play.
I think that is kind of at odds with what they like to do, because, as you say, they go for drastic changes.
Too drastic.
You remember some time ago where they just gave the plague like an extra fountain at the start, and that was like amazing.
Yeah.
And they just like they just made like little changes like this, and those are the best changes.
Oh, the Huntress, the Huntress Lullaby. That was actually a decent change. It's omnidirectional now.
They made Pop,
that was so big.
Yeah, and they made Pop like virtually a perk that almost no one run, which was 30 seconds. They made it 60 seconds, and then, the day after, a week after that, everyone's running pop.
Yeah, it went from 30 to 60. Now it's 45. I disagree with that pop nerf, by the way. I don't know what the hell that were about. It doesn't make sense.
I think it was unfortunate. But
No. Yeah, now it's just a free gen thing. Like, you can't use it other than being close to a gen.
No, like we don't need to delve into it because I think we agree on it. But I would agree that small changes like that would be better.
Yeah,
and
100%.
see how they sit, and then maybe take it back if it doesn't work out.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like that experiment. What do you think of that one, for example?
What's that? You went robotic.
With the blood loss going offline for a weekend, how do you feel about that? With experiments like that, in general too.
Well, yeah. What were they gathering from that actually? Bloodlust going would be very problematic. There'd be so many infinites created. By the way,
honestly, playing Survivor that weekend felt good, because you knew that if a killer wasn't using his brain cells to chase you, he would just keep chasing you forever.
But you can lose bloodlust when you're playing Survivor. You can just stand still and it loses a chase. Like, you can play around it, and a lot of killers won't just use bloodlust free or whatever because they waste so much time to get into it.
You cannot while you stand.
What I would say is, if they are touching bloodlust, level 1, keep level 1. Level 2, 3, whatever, but level 1, because they will be very I can't, for some reason, like, I can't think of the examples right now, but there is examples where there's loops which are just completely busted without any bloodlust.
Right, no,
I'd say level 1.
But I think we're, like, you understand, if they did this experiment without the bloodlust like 2 years ago, you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would have been, like, completely game ending. Like, it would have been actual infinites probably. Whereas now the game, I think, played pretty well, which means that the maps are not too far from, they're not too far from being fixed, and the gameplay is not too far from not needing bloodlust, or at least a bloodlust as strong as it is now. So maybe the devs are reluctant to change, but maybe that's the solution. Maybe the solution is small changes and pushing them to try more things.
It is small changes, and then watch the ripple.
All right. Well, I think that might be the big takeaway from the stock.
Yeah.
That they should try more stuff, and it would be great also if the devs were kind enough to let us know what the hell happened during that experiment. Wouldn't you like to know?
I'd also like to know how this MMR is working as well.
Okay. Well, we got a taste of that like a few months ago.
Yeah, that the old one. What is this new one about? Like they basically said that it's going to dictate who's going to win or something. Like, it's literally going to know the outcome of the game. Like,
knowing basically what's going to be the outcome.
How the hell? That don't make sense, man.
It's so absurd. Yeah.
It don't make sense. Like, even in a fighting game, if your MMR is higher than someone else, it doesn't mean you're definitely going to win.
It just means that, the odds are in your favor, right?
Yeah. Potentially. I mean, it depends. It depends how many matches you've had.
All right. Well, I do hope sincerely that we can use our influence, like, as limited as it might be, as creators and as a community, to maybe push for that.
Same.
Because I honestly think that would be good. Like, give me more tiny changes, like, Trapper resetting his traps. Raid not being seen from 20 meters. That's good. That's
these are good. They don't need to these huge things. They could just do these little things and see the ripple of them.
Well, True, if there's something else that you'd like to bring up or talk about, I'd love to. Maybe if we glossed over something that you'd like to chat about, but we've been at it for like about 2 hours.
Have we? Fucking hell. Okay.
Wrapping it up.
Yeah, I do need to get someone to eat as well, to be honest.
All right. Get your meal then.
Yeah.
And very much for agreeing to chat with me. It was good. I hope, like, I think our big disagreement on whether 50 wins and whatever hurts the community, I think we've solved that. I think I understand your point. I hope you understand that when people go for 4K streaks and stuff, it's not so much to prove like oh my god, I can win every game, but rather, I've gotten to a point where maybe I can play against average players long enough to get to this number.
But you understand how I'm thinking it's misleading people who don't undernd this game at the higher level and stuff like that.
I totally understand that, but
because they use that.
We need to consider people as adults and hope that they'll be responsible enough to see through the game. If a guy escapes 300 times in a row, and that's happened, that's not because survivors are busted. And if a guy gets 300 kills in a row and that's happened, it's not because killers are busted. It's because they're abusing one thing, or they're playing against very average players where they themselves are very good.
Yeah.
So
That's what it is. That's literally what DBD is. That's kind of how you have the fun in DBD. You get a really good killer against maybe one good survivor or two best, but usually very average, not as highly skilled survivors, and then they have fun with it. That's kind of what it is.
If I can send you off with a spicy request, it would be that you someday give that a shot, because as you said, you know, okay,
the 15
over plays. You're probably playing against average players that have many hundreds of hours less than you. I would ask you if you want to give it a shot, and give that to maybe try 50 wins in a row or some other number with your own conditions, maybe with whatever killer, and see what it's like. And I would also ask you if there's a challenge that you'd like me to try, to maybe understand your point of view better, to name it, and I'll try it as well.
My point of view. I don't think my point of view involves challenge, sadly. My point of view is a healthier kind of push towards the game. Maybe I could think of something, I don't know.
Well, it doesn't, you know, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you think of something that's like, okay, you know, I'll just try this, and afterwards maybe you'll see things more my way. I would be willing to give that a shot. So that way we close the gap a little bit, bridge the gap. We come to understand each other better, and going forward, we're like one voice, so the devs can like realize that, hey, what we're saying here is not just like two dudes. Like we probably
there's a reason why we play this game so much, man. Like we are very passionate about it. Like we want what's best for it, man.
I'm not very good at Mortal Kombat, so I'm gonna stay playing this game probably.
Well, first be Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I'm just joking about the fact that this game is very unique, and you don't come out of this game being good at the next game you play. No, so
completely different game.
that's gonna be hard for us to move to another game someday. But honestly, it was a good chat. It was great to do it, and I hope your community and mine appreciated it.
Yeah, hopefully, like they'll see that we're just two people who kind of want what's best for the game, and you know, we have our own minds, you know. All
right. Well, lovely chatting. Many kisses to everybody, and hopefully have another debate some other day.
Yeah, sure thing,
man. You know, completely different direction, and we're talking about something more lighthearted. Have a good one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you too. Have a good one. All right, guys. I didn't say thank you for any of the subs, but I will say that because I was just mid chat, so I need to say this. But I very much appreciate it to you amazing people. I don't know where it was. Were we really talking for like 2 hours? Fucking hell, man. Deadful, thank you for the 10 bits. WW Yat, thank you for the sub. Melkor, thank you for the prime. Richie, thank you for the 10 bits. Cutoff Rico for the 10 bits. Exter Madame, thank you for the 23 months. Doc Super, thank you for the 13 months. Sin of Kane for the 25. Tsar, thank you for the $15. Hope you guys find common ground. Tangled Up, thank you for. I think that might be top tip. I think top tip of the day, by the way. Tangled Up, thank you for the 2 months. Billiard, thank you for the 51 months. Radical for the 4. Sin of Kane for the 23. Spartan D for the 5 gift subs. Godfather for the 4 months. Silas, thank you for the 34 months as well. Hope the morning's been good, true, not bad. Alex, thank you for the 3 months and some water. The Yellow Flash, thank you for the 49 months. I am Mufasa, thank you for the prime. Cree, thank you for the gifted sub to End of Days for the 2 month. Exter once again, gifting to Cero. Best Kuro, thank you for the 56 months. Zed Isis, appreciate the raid, mate. Bobby, thank you for the 3 months. Computer Face for the 300. You're my favorite streamer, true. I love your dedication to making the game better. Thank you, man. PTSD for the sub. Web Monkey for the 10 months. $5 from Dor X. Oh, really? Retail Royale is like a recreation of the culling? No way. Is it really, though? Let me grab that. Curious. The biggest void thing of the 2 months. Bahamut, thank you for the 10 months as well. City Runner for the 38. Richie for the 5. Give it to subs. And West Coast for the 300 bits. So how are you doing, guys? Feels weird that I've ignored you for so long, because I usually chat to you guys like non-stop. I'm not really a Discord person. Too much that's like. But how are you thinking? Where's your mind at? Where's the thing about something regular podcast? Yeah. Mature and friendly talk, hitters or sounds. Dude, it's a fucking game. I still don't get it. We'd love to hear your opinion on this to help encourage killer to leave the hook with mechanic. Hookers and gens encourage have playstyles, but not punish someone. Tie a call mechanic to the killer's terror radius. Wait. To the killer's terror radius, generators within the terror radius could have inbuilt ruin that you were talking about, while also having similar common effects, not permanent, perhaps slowing down. It's interesting. Interesting. Coach, when you get your tournament up, since one of your discussion points, possibly. Like, I need to work on all that though. As I said, I've got some IRL stuff I'm still sorting out, which is taking my time. Both want what's healthy. I've always wanted what's healthy for this game. I want skill to be prioritized over advantage. Oh, long day. I just saw it as a chat, me personally. Dad, buy a deadlight from the $5. 1,000 first hook per survivor. This would encourage hooks over kills in return to discourage tunneling. What do you think? That's kind of an idea in my tournament where you get rewarded more for the first hook and lesser for the second and third. And obviously you lose some of the points if they get too hooked, etc. You don't lose them, but you lose the potential points you would have got. Have your top killers changed recently or nah? My top killers... My top killers really just Nurse and Spirit, honestly. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Got a discussion really enjoyed. I'll probably put it on YouTube so people can see it there, because obviously there's loads of just crap going on there as well with like people trying to stir shit. Fails or seek issues I seen challenge to really. Yeah. Great conversation, thank you for doing it. You're both great. Appreciate it, man. As I said, like, he understands that, you know, to get a win streak, you do need to hope that you don't go against that really high caliber or they're just going to take it from you. But you still obviously need to be good with killer, but you need to be way better than the survivors you're going against. That's kind of how it is. But it sounds like he understands that. That's what I got anyway. Devs need to listen to you and OTZ. Oh no. You played against OTZ and he lost his stream that game. Lost his stream? Do you mean streak? Are you like a tournament team or are you just a really strong four-man? 5,000 hour killer would lose again. Of course it would. That's what I mean. Like, he knows what I know. He knows what we all know who have played this game for a long time. We know that if you go against a really strong team, you can't do much about it because of the gen speed. Like, it goes fast, man. It goes really, really fast. Faster than you realize. Trading hooks as well. Like, they can do that. The objective is to amuse the entity, so getting hooks is the most important thing. Yeah, it does say something regarding that, actually. Like, the entity wants to torture the survivors, so you'd think one hooking them or, you know, killing them quickly wouldn't be too enjoyable for the entity, right? So it makes sense with the kind of lore perspective. Do I have a new view after the debate? I get what he's on about with Trapper, and I get what he's on about where killers feel defenseless so they need to get someone out because you can't do it, but that's the whole point what I'm talking about. The whole reason why killers feel defenseless is because the game's designed around ignorance. It's designed around the understanding that kills are the thing and the defining factor of how well a killer did, which isn't the case. All killers aren't viable against good players, Jack. Even like the top killers find it very difficult against really good players. But yeah, all killers are viable against survivors who are way worse than you. 100%. I think I show you that. I think pretty much every YouTuber and content creator, and probably yourselves, show yourself that, right? We all know that. Freddy was earthed by the entity, so you could be real to Charles instantly. Entity once longer. Wait. Would you agree that game survives side if you try playing how you play, whereas if you play the root killer side? I don't think it ever really becomes killer sided if you're playing at high level, man. Even if you're... I mean, depends how you're thinking. Are you thinking 1v1? 1v1 killer sided. A killer can get one survivor and get them killed. But not 1v4. If you think about the whole team. Shows how really good teams are that common general play. They're not. They're not. That's why we have fun with the game. Dude, if good teams were common, do you realize how unfun killer would be? Like, it depends on your level, right? If you're really, really good with killer, you'll be able to win all right teams. And there is a lot of all right teams. It's just not that really, really good team. Yeah, saying regarding tournament players and stuff, tournament doesn't mean you're actually good. It doesn't mean that you're not either, but it isn't a defining thing. Case in point, when I used to do Street Fighter, I went to tournaments and I went against people in pools. They were tournament players, they were in a tournament, and they were horrific. They didn't care, but they were horrific. They were really, really bad at the game. So yeah, being a tournament player doesn't actually mean that you're good. It doesn't mean that you're not either, but as I said, it's not the defining aspect of it. Tournament requires house rules to help the killers. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna get something to eat. It's a bit late, but hopefully you enjoyed that chat. A bit of music. Oh, I've still got DVD up in the background. But what I do want to say is, if you did enjoy my first follow, I am live every single day. Thank you for all the tips, all the bits, all the subs. Everyone who did sub, remember you all get to keep comments and the cage. Thank you. Got you for tuning today. Xspacewalk YouTube. All the highlights from today will be up on YouTube. Xspacewalk Twitter for Twitter. Xspacewalk Insta for Insta. Xspacewalk Discord for Discord, and Xspacewalk merch for merch. We do currently have a new selection of merch. It's black and white collection. Check it out, it's really sexy. Worldwide delivery, 100+ countries. Sweatshirts, t-shirts, and hoodies. It is really nice stuff, check it. And if you can't remember what the store is, just remember TRU3TA1ENT.store. That's literally it. Really, really good clothing place. I waited a while to get an actual really good one. And when you do get the clothing, you can kind of see straight away, like, it's quite good quality. Not free delivery, no. But good prices. I should give him a raid. I don't usually raid. I used to raid all the time. But, stopped. One second. If I click this, what's going to happen? I'm just going to raid some random thing. Okay, there we go. Alright, I'll give him a raid. I haven't done it for a while, so and I'll see you guys tomorrow, right? If I press this, am I still gonna be here? Alright, show him some love. As I said, we both want what's good for the game. A lot of people twist shit, a lot of people twist opinions, mine especially. Like, so much does my shit get twisted, it's insane. But usually when I chat with people, they get an actual understanding of where my head's at. They get an understanding of who I am. Let's say click it. Did I do it?